The Lord be with you.
And with your spirit.
A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Matthew.
Glory to you, O Lord.
Jesus spoke this parable to his disciples. For it is if a man going on a journey summoned his slaves and entrusted his property to them. To one he gave 5 talents, to another 2, and to another 1, to each according to his ability. Then he went away. The one who had received the 5 talents went off at once and traded with them, and made 5 more talents. In the same way, the one who had 2 talents made 2 more talents, but the one who had received the 1 talent went off and dug a hole in the ground and hid his master's money. After a long time, the master of those slaves came and settled accounts with them. Then the one who had received the 5 talents came forward, bringing 5 more talents, saying, Master, you handed over to me 5 talents. See, I have made 5 more talents. His master said to him, Well done, good and trustworthy slave. You have been trustworthy in a few things. I will put you in charge of many things. Enter into the joy of your master. And the one with 2 talents came forward, saying, Master, you handed over to me 2 talents. See, I made you 2 more talents. His master said to him, Well done, good and trustworthy slave. You have been trustworthy in a few things. I will put you in charge of many things. Enter into the joy of your master. Then the one who had received the 1 talent also came forward, saying, Master, I knew that you were a harsh man, reaping where you did not sow, and gathering where you did not scatter seed. So I was afraid, and I went and hid your talent in the ground. Here you have what is yours. But his master replied, You wicked and lazy slave, you knew, did you, that I reap where I did not sow, and gather where I did not scatter? Then you ought to have invested my money with the bankers, and on my return I would have received what was my own with interest. So take the talent from him, and give it to the one with the 10 talents. For to all who have, more will be given, and they will have an abundance. But from those who have nothing, even what they have will be taken away. As for this worthless slave, throw him into the outer darkness, where there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
I am so fortunate to have some special people in my life. Many of them with great talents, abilities that allow them to create things, to do things, to say things, and to help people that are in need. My sister Joanne, for example, can knit and crochet amazing things, beautiful things. My friend Jean can bake pretty much anything that she sets out to do, any dessert or sweet, whether it's cheesecake or pie or Danish, anything. And it's always the best. And she brings some every time she visits. And our own sister Lise from the morning mass, one of the bright lights for me in the pandemic, when she would sit home with her guitar and sing on Facebook, I would listen to her for hours. Such a wonderful voice. My friend Rick can build anything out of wood. He's over the top with it, though. He's got a high-ab crane. He can go out to somebody's house where they've cut down a tree. He can grab the whole log and bring it back to his place. He has a sawmill so that he can cut it into boards, and he has a kiln so he can dry it out. He has virtually everything he needs to take it from the tree to a cabinet without all the steps in between. And then my wife, Marlene, she has a passion to care for people. For relatives that are sick, there always seems to be somebody or someone benefiting from her kindness. These are ordinary people doing extraordinary things. What they have in common is that they're all very busy at what they do. They're invested in it. They use their talent for the good of others. They focus on it. They make it a central part of their life. We arrived today at the second last Sunday of the year, of the church year. It's what I like to call parable season. Every week there seems to be a story. Last week, remember, it was the 10 bridesmaids, and we heard the need to be ready at all times. And this week we have what's referred to as the parable of the talents. What pulls all of these parables together at this time of year is a phrase that we will all say together in just a few minutes. As a fundamental part of our faith, we will say, "From there he will come again to judge the living and the dead." And these parables talk about the time between Jesus' time on earth and his second coming. How will we prepare for that? What should we do? In the parable today, a man leaves some talents with his slaves, his workers, 5 with one, 2 talents with the second, and 1 with the last one. Strictly speaking, a talent is an amount of money. A talent is worth about 6,000 denarii. Even calculated at minimum wage, or actually I should say a denarii is a day's work. So a talent is worth 6,000 denarii, a denarii is a day's work. You work out the math, and even at minimum wage at today's money, it's over $3 million that the slave with 5 talents got. 2 of the staff, 2 of the slaves, invested and doubled their investment, while the third buried it and produced nothing. When the owner returned, he was clearly upset with the one who had done nothing. Bible scholars agree that you can view the talents as being money, or you can view them as being abilities or particular skills. So where do we get our talents from God? Well, God, of course, can give us whatever talents, whatever abilities he wants us to have, and he can do it any way he wants. But consider the gifts of the Holy Spirit that we receive at confirmation. Knowledge, understanding, wisdom, courage, right judgment, piety, and fear of the Lord. I have great confidence that every one of us here who was confirmed, that each of us has received those gifts, those talents. I sometimes picture them as presents under the Christmas tree, all wrapped and sitting there ready for to use. But here's the thing. Many of those gifts go unopened. I know of people in their 20s and 30s and 40s and beyond who have never opened the gifts of the Holy Spirit. Just left it unopened under the tree. And like the slave who buried the talent, there it remains, unused and resulting in no benefit for anyone. Our parable today tells us that God gives us those gifts for a purpose, and he intends us to use them. I don't mind telling you that my life has been greatly enriched by those gifts, by those talents. In fact, the only way I can do the things that I'm called to do as a deacon is by drawing on those gifts, whether it's sitting at a bedside of someone at hospice, or consoling people who have lost a loved one, or reaching out to those in need, or standing in front of you here today. All of those gifts help me to do those things. And they're the same gifts that every one of us received at confirmation. The only question is, how well are you using it? Knowledge, understanding, wisdom, courage, and right judgment, piety, and fear of the Lord. Like all my talented friends, we need to discover and recognize what talents we have and incorporate them into our lives. Make them the focus of our daily efforts to know and love God through our prayer, our worship, and our charitable works. So let's open those gifts. Let's not leave them buried.